Its name means horse. Its badge is a bird. Maybe that's Hyundai's way of flipping the bird at the horse's ass who drives this car and then still buys an S-Class. Let's drive the 2011 Hyundai Equus and check the tech. Honda and Toyota launched new divisions and new brands when they went upscale. Hyundai chooses not to, though the Equus says Hyundai virtually nowhere and wears mostly unique badging as if they know they should have launched a new brand. But at the end of the day, the company seems to think it stands for one thing: value, from the Accent to the Sonata to this guy. Now, walking around this car, I see just about every other car in the world reflected in it. Up here in the front, I'm getting Lexus LS mashed up with Ultima. I hate polished wheels. They have never looked worse than on this car. Overall, though, the lines are kind of massive and impressive until you get back here, and then there's this little kick-up that reminds me of a Dodge Charger rather unpleasantly, and the tail lights keep flicking me back and forth between BMW 7 Series and Infiniti M. Overall, though, the package is one of stately big presence, which is what you've got to do in a car that aims at this audience. Now, what you're going to see in this car over and over is Hyundai is playing the greatest hits of car tech. They're not going to the far edge with anything. You can get more cutting edge, kind of out there, kind of unproven technology in their pricier competitors, but the core stuff is all here at a shockingly low price. First of all, navigation on that big 8-inch screen, that is standard. The map is good. It's not the best in the business. I'm not going to get a bunch of satellite video views on it, but I do have live traffic. I've got a very clear looking screen. It's not touch. You use a controller down here. Same thing goes for telephony. I've got Bluetooth phone on this guy. I've got phone book connectivity, but I don't have A2DP Bluetooth streaming. I don't have a hard drive I can rip music to, but I've got a 6-disc CD changer that also plays DVD. Again, standard. I've got 7.1 surround in this vehicle, but not a lot of fancy processing beyond that. I've got 17 speakers around the cabin, but no audio options whatsoever, so they're saving cost again by having a single audio system on this car, no complicated line changes that they've got to make, or dual vendors that they've got to stock parts from. In here, stock again, USB, auxiliary, and iPod connector, depending on this little proprietary cable you might use. On the radio side, I've got AM, FM, and HD radio, plus XM radio. Again, that's all standard on both trim levels of this car. Now, the stuff you wouldn't expect to get standard. I've got a forward-looking anti-collision system on this car. That's, I believe, optional on all their competitors. I have adaptive cruise control, and I've got lane departure warning, this button right back here. Standard on both trim levels. Very few cars offer that. I've got a camera that looks in the back that has two different views, looking out or looking down. Now, because our car's got the ultimate package, there are a few options on this guy. First of all, this button here for the forward-looking camera. It gives you a wide-angle view out the front at low speeds only. You can't sit here and stare at this thing and drive by it. It goes off at like, I don't know, 5 miles an hour. But it lets you nibble into a parking space forward the same way the reverse camera lets you do it backwards. And the rest of the goodies are in the back. Now, if you've ever wanted to ride in a Maybach, but came to your senses and realized you'll never have a Maybach, this is the nearest thing to it. We have the ultimate package, as I mentioned, so back here is this crazy kind of first-class airline seat deal. I've got this console here, and if I push, let's see, this button, it moves the front seat forward all the way, let's hope no one's in it, folds it forward all the way, and then it starts to push my seat like this, see that? I'm going forward and I'm reclining, and now I'm also going to get my footrest to go up. The problem is, unless you're about 5 feet tall, ow, God, this is like one of those secret prisons that the CIA runs in Romania. This is actually a torture chamber, so it helps to be small if you're going to do the reclino thing, or to be a pig and put your shoes on the seat in front of you. But if you do that, I'll shoot you. Oh, check this out. In the console, I've got a wireless controller for the massage functions on this guy. Yeah, no kidding. The sensor for it is up there on the back of the front seat. The one I'm using is an ottoman. Mode 1 and 2, upper, back, and lower, force, speed, in-call versus out-call. Oh, wait. That's vibration versus vibration speed. Kind of the same thing. Oh, and by the way, also in this center console is a refrigerator with 2 little can holders in it. And yes, it gets quite cold in there. And finally, you've got your 8-inch LCD here that pops up in the console. and you have a full array of all your media there, and your climate controls can all show up on the display. This is a nice way to ride, and again, we're nowhere near $100,000 in this car. Okay, in the engine bay, some pretty non-Hyundai stuff. You don't think of these guys doing big V8s. That's a big V8. 4.6-liter V8, 385 horsepower, but just 333 foot-pounds of torque. That's a little on the light side. We'll get to that when we get on the road in a minute. 0 to 60 happens in 6.7 seconds, which is fine, sprightly, but not really fast. MPG is 16 city, 24 highway. And all the power goes through one direction and one gearbox. Rear-wheel drive only, no all-wheel drive available, and it's a 6-speed automatic, which is relatively, shall we say, basic by today's standards, but it does the job okay, and it's a ZF gearbox from Germany, and they tell you that in every piece of marketing materials they got. So the real question, the only one that matters is, does this car stack up as a real high-end luxury sedan, or is it just kind of putting the trappings together? Well, first thing you notice is it's bank vault quiet, almost too quiet. I was surprised how much tire noise I picked up all the time, except on the perfect surfaces out there, which there are very few in California. You do want the sport button down to get the best response, otherwise it's a little bit sluggish. That's that low torque number I mentioned. You need to wring the most out of it. I found shifting it wasn't very interesting. I don't know, it's not the kind of car I want to shift, to be honest. A couple things also were a little bit off. The steering tries too hard to stay on center. That makes big, broad, sweeping roads kind of tedious. But I'll say this, I never missed the other 1 or 2 gears this transmission could have. A lot of folks will turn their nose up at a 6-speed, but I don't know, seemed fine to me. I didn't find the car was making huge leaps between cogs that made the thing seem like it was inelegant. And the most important thing is the car feels like it has presence when you're driving it. It feels heavy without feeling ponderous. There's a big difference. Luxury tends to equate with a car that feels like it's got a lot of placed presence, and this car does that well without being a chore to drive. Oh, did I remind you? This is the car that comes with an iPad. And on it is the Equus app, which includes the owner's manual, fully electronic and interactive, a quick reference guide, thank you, dealer locator, service scheduler. You can build and price an Equus in case you want to buy another one, I guess. Or look at the Hyundai gallery, just in case you want to love their cars so much. All this an effort to differentiate this guy from the other high-dollar German and Japanese Luxo barges. But what really differentiates it is the price. The basic, and it's not basic at all, Equus is going to be $58,900. Your only option is $6,500 for the ultimate package. That gets you all the bells and whistles in the back seat, plus the forward-looking camera and the power trunk lid. You can load this guy to the gills, and it makes the other guys look like, what are they thinking at their price?